So thank you for joining us today to talk about one of the most important developments in the history of Baltimore City Public Schools and the city as a whole. Before I begin outlining the details of the Baltimore City Public School Construction Act, I need to thank so many of our partners in the city and the state for getting us to this point. As you know, House Bill 860 passed the General Assembly just over a week ago. Mary Pat, you're such a part of it. Come on back up here.
We'll watch it.
You never sit on the sideline, Mary Pat. You're in the trenches. Now, Curran, on the other hand, I'm just teasing. Come on up here, Mary Pat. You know you're one of us. I know. Come on, we need you. Unified force.
I'm here.
As a bubby of a public school student.
Two bubbies.
Yes. I need you. All right, House Bill 860 passed just over a week ago, and it is currently on the governor's desk awaiting his signature. I want us to all thank and applaud Governor O'Malley, Senate President Miller, and House Speaker Bush for their critical support of this effort. This bill authorizes $1.1 billion of money for new and renovated schools in Baltimore City. This is a special and unique effort for Baltimore City. It is a landmark bill, which not only represents the most significant legislative achievement for the city of Baltimore in my memory.
In our life. In my memory.
It's a
lifetime. In my memory. Whoa.
In Ricky's memory.
More disturbing than that. Right.
But it also represents a landmark renewal in the partnership that we have between the city and the state. It's the same partnership that my father fought for to benefit 85,000 public school students. This effort doesn't work and will not work in the future without this continued close partnership. The city's funding commitment, including the new bottle tax revenue that goes into effect July 1st, is critical. The state's role, including the lottery funding, and the stadium authority itself is very critical, and the school system's role is essential. I was very clear with the Baltimore City delegation before the session started that divided we will only fail our students and Baltimore City's future, but together we can rebuild our schools and our city. Just as we are united together to achieve this goal, we stand united to implement this legislation in the coming years. I'm so proud to be here discussing this legislation and the funding streams that made it work and the timeline for moving forward with our partners that we gathered. You know, as I started to get the messages that started to come when the bill first got off the House floor, and and I want to thank my team that at every step did an incredible job, a yeoman's job. But I started to get the messages from the chair, from members of the delegation who stood alongside my father as he fought for the city-state partnership back in the 90s. And we all remember from being on the floor of the council, it was contentious in Annapolis, it was contentious in Baltimore, but I knew at that time, for someone who didn't have a child in the system, that I was just so proud of my father for standing up for something that he knew would have an impact far beyond even his own years, something that would benefit a grandchild that he hadn't even known at that point. So when I started getting those messages after the bill first passed the House, it gave me a special feeling that that's something that I could do together with all of you, continued his legacy. So thank you for all of that. So I want to thank Dr. Alonzo. I want to thank Neil Duke, our school board chair, and all of our school board members who had to do their part to make sure that the school's 10-year facilities plan was in place before we could go back to Annapolis this year. I want to thank Michael Friends, the Maryland Stadium Authority Executive Director. This doesn't work without him being a full partner. So I certainly want to thank him. I want to thank Comptroller Pratt. I want to thank our city delegation, united.
Yes.
know that
difference.
what,
Yep.
and it goes to show us when we stick together, there's, you know,
We're standing
the
together.
sky is the limit. I want to thank our delegation chairs, Senator Jones Rodwell. I want to thank our, and Kurt Anderson. I want to thank Senator Pugh.
Yes.
I want to thank Senator Ferguson. I want to thank Delegate Robinson, Delegate Mitchell. I want to thank Delegate Washington, Delegate Oaks. Thank you very much for your support. And I also want to thank Delegate Sandy Rosenberg. Hit me if I missed a delegate.
Right behind you.
Who are we missing? I said Ferguson. You want me to say him twice? And Delegate Cheryl Glenn, thank you very much for being here. I also want to thank City, I mentioned it before, but it's worth mentioning twice. I really want to thank City Council President Jack Young for standing with me. And I also want to thank the members of the City Council who joined me to make the tough decisions to get more local school funding, which enabled us to go to Annapolis with a stronger argument to make our case, as Ricky said, credit worthy. I want to thank Councilwoman Clark for your hard work. I want to thank Councilman Curran. We can thank Councilwoman Spector, Councilman Henry, Councilman Cole, Stokes, Councilman Mosby, Councilman Welch, Councilman Scott, Councilwoman Middleton, and Councilwoman Holton. All of them worked hard to help make this happen. The council's support was absolutely pivotal because the plan doesn't work without a revenue stream to support the $1.1 billion in bond. And finally, I want to thank all of our parents, all of our students, teachers, and all of the education advocates, yes, including Bill and all the members of the Transform Baltimore Coalition for helping us push forward.
3,000 strong in Annapolis.
Yes, Frank Patinella, Bibi Verde, here from Transform Baltimore, Reverend Foster Connors, and the birthday boy. Said it with all love. Bishop.
Before and proud of.
Yeah. Bishop Douglas Mild representing Bill, Jimmy Stewart from Child First, Yasmin Mumby from KIP, Karen DeCamp from Greater Homewood, and Raquel Rodriguez from Community Law in Action. Let's give all of our partners a big hand. All right. So I also want to talk a little bit about our steps forward towards implementing this new program, the funding increases and the sources, the partners, the roles, and the timeline ahead. Beginning June 1st, 2013, city government will double its contribution to school construction and renovation over previous historic levels. There is a chart over here that talks about, you all will see it, or have, it's called B-roll. I think that's a term that you all use in your, so you can get some B-roll later of the chart. From roughly $17 million annually from general obligation bond funding to about $38 million in combined cash and City Go bond funding. This represents the largest increase in local funding for school construction in history, and it is not a one-time commitment. This is a doubling of funding that will go forward each year. This funding includes about $20 million in bottle tax revenue. Thank you very much to the council. Local slots and table game revenue. Thank you very much to the city delegation and retiree health care cost sharing. Beginning July 1st, 2014, in the following fiscal year, the state will provide $20 million in state lottery funds, and beginning in fiscal 2016 and 17, the city school system will allocate $20 million from its own budget. The new law adds a new partner to the school construction process, a welcome partner, the Maryland Stadium Authority. Each of these annual funding streams will be used to pay the debt service for up to $1.1 billion in bonds for school construction and major renovations, bond issued by the Stadium Authority. This is a massive undertaking for implementation, and I want to thank Michael Friends, Executive Director of the Stadium Authority, for you and your staff's professionalism and your support to make this happen. I kept saying, I said it to the advocates, I said it to the delegation and to the leadership in Annapolis, the confetti was not going to fall on Sine Die without us having a deal. And I was committed, as all of you were, to getting that deal done. And we went down there with a proposal for how we thought the financing model could work and the implementation board would work. But I made it clear to everybody that we had to keep an open mind, and it was important to get us over the goal line, with a plan that worked, that we could get support from legislators from all over the state, something that where we didn't stand on, the only principle we stood on was doing what was right for the kids. And that's why we were able to get to where we are with this partnership with the state and the Stadium Authority. Under the new law, the Stadium Authority, city schools, Baltimore City, and the State Interagency Committee on School Construction will enter into a 4-way MOU by October 31st of this year. There are several elements of the MOU that legislation requires, which relate to the delineation of responsibilities among the 4 parties, including the establishment of procedures to carry out the bill's requirements, the timing of the projects, and all other related matters that I know that we will sort out in the coming months. In short, MSA will issue the bonds while the city, state, and the school system will service the debt. MSA will be responsible for building new and replacement schools, and the school system will manage the renovation projects in phase 1 of the city schools 10-year building plan. The 4 partners will work very closely together to craft this important implementation agreement over the course of the next 7 months, and we are at the beginning of a very, very exciting time for Baltimore. Our vision to grow Baltimore by 10,000 families depends greatly on our ability to provide excellent public education for young people, no matter what zip code they live in Baltimore. It will help us to retain families. I can't tell you how frustrated I get when someone says, oh, I just moved out. I have a child that's about to enter the school system. It's a new day. It's a new, there are new opportunities, there's new promise for families who are currently living, new opportunities and new reasons to want to be a part of what's going on here in Baltimore, and also help us to attract new families for years to come. As the mayor, as the mother of a public school student, as a product of the Baltimore City Public Schools, I know how important this is. And I know that it sends a clear message to all of us who are here and those who we're trying to attract back, that Baltimore's best days are ahead of us. Again, I want to thank all of you for your hard work to get us to this point. And I would like to turn this over to the school system. Do I have,
Yeah, break them.
you're lost in the crowd. Dr. Alonzo, thank you so very much for your hard work to getting us through this.
It's a really good crowd to be lost in. So I just want us to really reflect on how unique we are in the context of this country right now. If you look across the landscape, most urban school districts are losing students. We have now had 5 consecutive years of increases in our enrollment. 5 years ago, there were 4,700 students in kindergarten. Today, 5,500. Today, we have 7,200 kids in kindergarten. So, in terms of changing that dynamic where parents feel that the city is worth investing in, we're there, and you can only imagine where we're going to be 10 years from now after we're done with this effort. In many other places, there are battlegrounds around making the hard decisions. Read the paper, read about Chicago and Philadelphia and Detroit. In Baltimore, we have closed 26 schools in the past 6 years, and we passed a 10-year plan that committed to closing 26 more buildings. And that's not easy, but it happened with enormous amount of understanding on the part of our communities about what we needed to do for the benefit of all our kids. That's very unique. And it speaks to a level of maturity and selflessness in the civic discourse of Baltimore that I think is going to make this work in the long run. And this process, which was a very lengthy and hard process of getting to where we are today, where we had to be endlessly flexible and creative and tough on ourselves, has been really, really good as a harbinger of what can happen in many other areas. And I want to start, and the mayor thanked everybody, so I don't want to do it again. So I want to think of some people who perhaps were not thanked, and I want to start with people who are in the mayor's staff. Alex, Kim, who at points in the work where it was really, really hard, figure out a way to keep working at it. And I am so grateful to you for it. Mary Pat got thanked already. I think of Mary Pat as Mary Pat and Duana Sterrett is our counterpart to Mary Pat in Annapolis, and the amount of work that had to go on behind closed doors to make this happen was astonishing. The mayor didn't thank herself, so it becomes my responsibility. And I have to tell you, and of course, someday we'll write a book. The content of some of the conversations where we were in a room and it was just 3 or 4 people in the room. She was heroic in some of these conversations, and this is what matters most for the city. We have to make sure that at the end of the day, and that was so consistent and strong at the point where we had to make sure that we had that momentum in the conversation that I will never be able to thank you enough about your role in that process. So thank you, Madam Mayor. And I know that the mayor thanked my board, but I have to do it again because so often I'm the person who people associate with what's going on in the school system. So it becomes my responsibility to say that the board is the institution, the path forward, and this process of the 10-year plan, which could have fracture in any other school system in America around, and by the way, I love politics, so I don't use politics as a negative. I am so grateful to be in America and not where I grew up, where there are no politics, there's only one way. Politics is about figuring out what's possible. The role of that board in understanding the non-negotiables, but constantly pushing for ways to do really, really difficult things, even though being tremendously pushed to not make the hard decisions by communities who understandably want to hold on to the past or want to hold on to what's there, was also remarkable. And I have been so lucky in my tenure in Baltimore that so many hard decisions have been made, even though there isn't always universal agreement about what needs to be made, but somehow we have figured out a way to get to the right decisions and maintain a coherence even when there are people who don't necessarily agree with what's going on. And that is so unique. And just look a little bit to the side and what's happening in another county, and you will understand what I mean. Our delegation was so amazing in this process, and I mean, there's nothing else to say other than how amazing they were. And you know, some people took the lead.
Timing is everything.
I know who you are. I'm looking at you, and I figured that would be more than enough. But the Senator Jones, Ratwell Jones, that moment to take the lead, and you know, we were stumbling with the Senate piece at points in the process, and it came together because we figured out ways to convince others that this was not only necessary for the city, but it was also good for the state. And one of the great elements of this short aftermath is how many people from around the state have been reaching out to me and telling me this is a really good thing. I mean, there is a perception out there that this is a really good thing for the state, and I think our delegation was obviously so instrumental in communicating that. The house was huge, and as in that was the building of speed to get this to happen. So I'm just so grateful. I don't want to leave out City Council because these are the people who call me every day about what's happening in schools that they know far better than I do. So they've understood all along what this means, and I'm gonna close with some of the partners that I have behind me who I see as representing parents and kids, and obviously without them this wouldn't have happened, because they not only provided the evidence of what this meant to the city, but they were so amazingly good at always putting it in front of every single one of us how much this meant to our kids and to the city. They have just been astonishing, and I told them the other day that of course this is not the ending, this is the beginning.
Yep.
The ironic piece is that, as I said, this is my 6th year in Baltimore, and every time we're trying to do something, everybody goes, "Oh, you can't do that." And then the moment that we do it, they say, "Well, now the hard work begins." So I think the hard work begins, but it's. I don't think it's going to be hard work. I think it's going to be exhilarating work. I mean, I think every time we put a stone down, we're communicating something extraordinary, and I'm just happy with where we are right now. Grateful and incredibly optimistic about what happens next with our kids and with our city. I think we're going to get to the 10,000, and it's going to happen in a hurry. So thank you very much. Neil Duke, who is the chair of my board, will say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Madam Mayor for the opportunity to give some brief remarks on behalf of the school board, and also echo the sentiments and the acknowledgments of the many partners in this room who are very much a partner in the process of rather great work that we're about to embark upon. Also to Madam Mayor, for your political leadership, your courage under fire. This could not have happened. We would not have reached this particular day without your leadership, and we are truly grateful for that. First, on behalf of city schools, I'd like to pass along our condolences to the immediate family and the extended City Hall family of Matthew Herschel, 28-year finance department employee who lost his life yesterday as a result of an accidental and unfortunate random criminal act. His passing reminds us that every day is precious. We mourn his loss and pray that justice, both swift, certain, and sure, following the aftermath of yesterday's horrible event here on the grounds of City Hall. Today, while we mourn Matthew's loss, we also have much reason to celebrate. our legislative accomplishment this year, and the passage of this district's 10-year plan to transform its facilities from bottom up. In the words of Joe Biden, this is a big deal. Now, you'll note that I've left out some of the more colorful adjectives that I could use to describe his words. Baltimore is already, as Dr. Alonso noted, part of the national conversation with respect to school performance and reform and innovation. We can now take pride in burnishing our credentials by having created a model of meeting school construction needs in an innovative fashion while remaining fiscally responsible. Most importantly, we didn't get to this point, as noted by the speakers before me, without the efforts of the many partners in the work, many of whom are present at this event. I offer heartfelt thanks, our gratitude for your collective support, your prodding, your heeding to the call to arms that each of you answered, because it truly took a team effort. In recent years, staff, teachers, our students, our families of city schools, we've worked all collectively unimaginably hard to advance academic achievement in our district. But we could not provide 21st century education in antiquated facilities, and we could not expect our students to thrive in schools that were literally crumbling around them. We needed to embark on a major school construction and renovation program, the likes of which had never been seen, heard, much less attempted in our city. And now, thanks to the goodwill, the hard work of all of you, the true unsung heroes of our city, today we begin to deliver on the commitment we made to our students and accelerate the transformation of Baltimore City Public Schools and to our fair city. I'll leave you with this quote. I think it's attributable to Henry Ford. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. We have started our journey toward success because each of you placed this effort as your top priority this year. As Dr. Alonso noted, our work is not over. It now begins in earnest, but it will get done because we are committed and we are unified. Again, our thanks, our deepest appreciation. May history remember this day as the turning point in the fates of those we owe the most to, our children. May God bless the work we're about to embark upon. May God bless our students and our families. May God bless this fair city of Baltimore. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Duke. I want to bring up one of the partners who, because of his, because of the respect that the legislature has for the MSA, we were able, and Michael, we were able to make a deal that worked for everyone. So I want to ask him to come up and speak, and then I'll ask Senator Jones Rodwell to speak on behalf of the delegation. Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members of both the city and state legislative bodies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to be here this morning. I want to start off, though, by saying, throughout this process of our becoming involved in this project, our public comments have been consistent. First, we all have said that, we don't seek out these types of assignments that are away from our original mission, but also we're here to serve. So to the extent that it's a good idea for us to become involved in these projects, we become involved. And furthermore, I don't want anyone to mistake the first part of that statement with a reluctance to become involved. We relish the challenge of this project, and we intend to preserve our reputation of bringing in projects on time and on budget. Throughout the discussions leading up to this day, we found the school system staff and the commission members, the state interagency Commission on School Construction, the City of Baltimore, their staff. I think we've worked cooperatively in a spirit of trust. So now that the bill is passed, I just want everyone to know, the MSA is all in, and we're looking forward to working with our partners in this endeavor to craft an MOU that will allow us to work cooperatively toward a common goal. And that goal is upgrading school facilities in Baltimore so that Baltimore school children can receive a 21st century education second to none. Before I finish, though, I'd like to recognize a couple of people from MSA here who are going to be doing the bulk of the work on this project. Gary McGuigan, our project executive, who has over 14 years of experience bringing in projects on time and on budget. Eric Johnson, senior project manager, who was the project manager on the Coppin State project that was transformational in the Coppin State campus, that saved enough money in the budget for the construction so that we were able to use that money to demolish the old auditorium and further transform that campus. And finally, Jan Hardesty, our public information officer, who will be our spokesman for much of this project. So I just wanted to introduce them so you all get to know them. You'll see a lot of them in the future. So thank you very much.
Good morning. First, giving honor to God, I thank Chairman Duke for giving me this opportunity to kind of segue into the other aspect of this great, heroic, historic occasion. If not for the collaboration that took place through the city, the state, the school system, the Maryland Stadium Authority, we would not be here, as you've heard. 1 year ago, I don't think any of us thought that we would be here. We were all hopeful, but we didn't know that coming together really does work. This past January, when the Baltimore City Senate delegation came together and met with the president of the Senate, Miller, and the House delegation met with Speaker Bush to say, this is our #1 priority, and there's no negotiation about this issue. It happened. It happened because we worked and we knew what our respective roles were. And that is what is going to take us forward. We have to be cognizant of who we are, whose we are, and our role in getting things done. And this was not just a bricks and mortar event, but this is a community building event, because the schools do not just stay within the walls of the schools, but they go out into our communities. So I am just so honored to have worked with everyone and throughout this collaboration to make it work. But most importantly, I am so proud of Baltimore City, because so many years you heard individuals echoing, well, our lottery money was supposed to go for education. How come it didn't go for education? Well, today it went for education. And I thank all of you for having a role in making that reality real.
Again, I want to thank everyone for being here. Thanks everyone that had a role in making this happen. We have a second for a few questions. If you have any school construction related questions, I'd love to.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you for laying out exactly what has happened here. In listening in the back of the room, I didn't hear anybody really say, I think I know the answer to this, but I didn't hear anybody say how they feel about this being passed. So I'm going to start with you.
No, I talked about it. You just weren't listening.
Look, just all together, 1, 2, 3. We feel
great!
Could you also perhaps give me an idea of what the passage of the bottle tax, would this all have happened had that not happened?
Yeah, and I think Senator Jones-Rodwell talked about how everyone had a role to play and everyone had to come with their A game in order to get this done. There was no way we would be able to get this done if the council didn't stand up and pass the bottle tax. So, you know, it was a building block. It was a foundation. We had to show that we were willing to make the tough decisions, to put revenue on the table to finance the bonds. We can't say we'd love for you to issue these bonds, you know, on the kindness of strangers, right? On the, you know, just because you like us so much. No, we had to say that we were willing to put some revenue so we could have credibility in the ask. And I know that there was so much pressure put on council members by the American Beverage Association, commercials, flyers, calls, everything, trying to convince them not to stand up and do the right thing for our children. And I'm just so grateful because enough of my colleagues in the city council had enough guts to say, we know what's best for our city and for our kids, and that is for us to put some, you know, as Dr. Alonso said, some skin in the game. to get this revenue stream to make it happen. And I told them, I said, instead of fighting us so hard, I mean, for an industry that said that this would, that they were on the brink, but it seems like millions they spent in the anti-beverage tax campaign. I mean, they could have just divvied it up between their vendors. But anyway, to me, they should have put a table with sodas at the front of the store and said, buy a soda to help our kids. And people would have, I'd start drinking soda again. Not that far, right? But it would be water. Seltzer. But it would be a way for us to because people always say, what can I do to help? And we're telling you, this is putting the revenue in play. So again, I have to thank those council members that were willing to do the right thing for the kids, that would not bend, would not break to the pressure.
You said the plan calls for 15 new schools. What are going to be the first schools built?
Yeah. We're building. Talks about the elephant. That's a part of the process.
That's
Part of the
plan,
it is part of the implementation of the 10-year plan is to develop this the partnership with the MOU that we talked about, and it just as that process has been open and transparent, it'll be an open, transparent, and inclusive process to identify what school is, what project is first. But this is only going to work if we're able to move several at the same time. So it is a collaboration, a meaningful collaboration, and we're looking forward to working with all the people. Just like we got to this point, because everybody, brought their A game to play their role. We have to do the same thing to get us to these new schools and major renovations.
Was there ever a point when the deal looked really in trouble? And
A point?
And what was? Is there a moment or anecdote that sort of turned it for the city?
I would say there were several. There were several moments in public and in private where we thought that this wouldn't happen. I mean, we all know what the leadership said in public and in private about the likelihood of this passage before the session started. But we were not deterred. I can say that the anecdote, I mean, I guess the bigger story, instead of these separate anecdotes, is every one of us, whether it's the community advocates, the students who stayed up probably past their bedtime rallying in Annapolis. Yeah, the teachers, the administrators, the legislators, everyone refused to take no for an answer. Absolutely. And that's how we got to where we are.
Last question. This is 1.1 billion. There's need 2.6 billion in construction. Are you guys going to have to pull this off again?
No, I don't think. In order to get, they say, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? This is it. We're starting, and we don't have. This will give us the credibility to move us closer to our total need. But in order for us to get to 2 point whatever billion, we have to get this first part done. And that's why this is so important, because it won't just start us on the process of rebuilding our school system, but it will also head us on the path to the total needs that we have for the city.
Could we ask about this rehearsal? Do you want to say anything about the man?
Just that my prayers are with his family. I spoke to his mother last night, who remembered a son who was a giver, who worked so hard for the city, and it is a senseless tragedy, and it could have been any one of us. I've stood on that corner. Absolutely. You stood on that corner. It could have been any of us, and just to think that something so ridiculous from a person allegedly who's responsible. A 40-some-year-old man doesn't have enough sense to know you don't speed like that in a crowded city. It's senseless. It's tragic. It is a loss that we all feel in the City Hall family. And I continue, as I mentioned to his mother last night, to pray for his family that they have peace. She was said that she believes in her heart that he's in a better place, and we have to believe that to bring some sense of comfort and solace in this time of so much grief.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.